Hey there, everybody. Thursday morning Food Allergy Mom Coffee Chat. I am Karina from Friendly Pantry, and we are gonna make a really great recipe today. It's called Blueberry Peach Crumble, and it's top allergen free. And you are not gonna believe what the secret ingredient is, because there is a secret ingredient. I'm gonna get to that later, but this is gonna be something that's gonna be awesome for you if you want to celebrate Easter on Sunday and do a nice brunch dish. It can be used as a dessert. It can be an everyday breakfast as well. That's a little more healthy. I actually have the sort of healthier everyday version in my free meal plan, which is at www.friendlypantry.com/meal plan. And you can get it there for free. And I have this dressed up version on my blog. So it's dressed up, and the cool thing about it is that you are going to use pantry staples. So anything that you have that's going to be in the pantry. And so most of the things you're going to have right now. So let's get started. I had to kind of angle this. I hope you guys can kind of see. Welcome. Let us know where you're watching from. If you're watching, I'd love to know. Welcome. I put everything a little bit further back because I was hoping that you could see what I'm actually making. And I'm looking here. I think you can kind of see on Facebook and a little bit on Instagram, but I'll kind of hold things up if I can too. So, okay, so starting. So it's blueberry peach crumble. It can be any fruit that you have, really. It doesn't have to be blueberry peach at all. If you've got something in the freezer that you want to use up, go for it, give it a shot. Honestly, anything's going to taste good. And the cool thing about it is that you can use canned, you can use frozen, you can use fresh. So any of those things, whatever you have. I know things are sometimes hard to find in the stores right now, so that's going to work amazing for you. So I'm going to start with the actual, and I got my recipe here so I don't forget anything. I'm going to start with the actual fruit, and I have 6 cups of diced peaches. And you know what? I like to save dishes, so I'm doing it right in the baking dish. And so I actually just poured in my bag of peaches, which is a little bit less than 6 cups. But you know what? It's a bag. I'm just going to use the bag. I'm not going to worry. This is a really forgiving recipe, so you don't have to worry if you have a little bit too much, a little bit less, whatever works. So I put in the peaches, and I'm going to actually use some fresh blueberries because I have them. These I've washed them all up. I've got them all ready to go in my fridge. And you need 2 cups of those. And I'm just, as you can see, I'm just kind of pouring it in. This is really forgiving. You don't have to worry too much. It's gonna bake down quite a bit when you bake it. So you want a little bit more than you think. But I do have the measurements. There are 2 cups of blueberries and 6 cups of diced peaches. Now, if you are using the frozen fruits, I want to remind you just to get the fruits to kind of room temperature if you can, as close to it before you bake. I forgot to do this the last time when I was taking pictures for this, and I found that I needed to bake it for like 15 minutes longer. So if you forget, it's okay. You just want to make sure that the fruit is bubbling, because that's when it's going to be really, really delicious. If it's not kind of bubbling up through your crust, then it's just not going to be the same texture or the same flavor. So definitely make sure that it's bubbling, and to get that faster, and what the recipe is based on is to make sure all your fruit is kind of at least a little bit partially defrosted. Okay, so I have the blueberries and the peaches. What else do we have? Oh, a 1/4 cup to 1/2 cup of sugar. And if you're making, I've got an optional allergy-friendly vanilla topping that is actually quite sweet. So if you're making that, you may want to reduce the sugar. Just depends on how sweet you like things. So if you like it to be, you can always try it and see. I'm probably going to serve this with because I made that sauce the last time, but this time I think we may do maybe some whipped cream. We can have dairy in our house. We did have a dairy allergy. My daughter outgrew it. So I still always like to help those. I'm top 8 free whenever I do a recipe, and in my membership, I always focus on the dairy as well. But in my house, we don't always eat dairy free because we are not dairy allergic. But when I do the testing for all the recipes I share, then I always do the dairy free because that's definitely a top 8 allergen. So anyways, we are not probably going to have it with that. So I'm going to do it with a full amount of sugar. And you need 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Now, cornstarch is definitely not required either. So if you don't have it in your pantry, you can't find it, don't worry, you can actually omit it. In my regular everyday recipe that I have in the free meal plan, I actually use flax because I feel like it's adding more fiber and all those good things. Flax has a lot of like omegas and like lots of good things in it. So when it's in regular everyday breakfast, I use that as kind of a little thickener. But when I made this like a few days ago, I didn't use cornstarch, and as long as I made sure that the fruit was bubbling, then it worked great. Okay, so if you're just joining now, I see a few people are just joining. I'm making blueberry peach crumble, top 8 allergy free. And yeah, and we've just made the fruit part. And oh, what we also need to add is a tablespoon of lemon juice. So I'm just going to use half of a lemon. I'm going to kind of just assume, like I said, this is a really, really forgiving recipe. So I'm squeezing half of a lemon inside there. Put that there, and I'll just stir it up. And that is actually the fruit base. Super easy. And I'll just show you what it looks like. Beautiful peaches and blueberries. Doesn't that look good? It's so pretty. I love the colors. And now we can move on to the topping. So I don't know about you, but I love like a nice thick crumble topping. It's just what I like. So I made it nice and thick and in excess. So okay, so in this bowl I have 2 cups of rolled oats, the quick ones, and I have 3/4 of a cup. Sorry, is it? Yeah, 3/4 of a cup of packed brown sugar. You can see that it was packed in there. And I'm just gonna stir it up. And okay, so here's, if you know my recipes, I have a weeknight allergy buster, allergy friendly book, and I've also got a free meal plan. And then any of the recipes that I put on my website, I put the non-allergy food, and then in brackets I will put a great replacement that will work just as well, that is top 8 allergy free. So that's how I work my recipes. So in this one I have 3/4 of a cup of flour. But if you can't use flour, if you're allergic to wheat, you can use some really cool ideas. So this, my daughter has gluten intolerance, and so we use Crispix in our house a lot. And so what I'm going to do instead of flour is I'm going to take any top allergen-free, non-sugar cereal that you have that's dry in your house at work. So if you want one that's specifically allergy friendly, you can use Made Good Rice Crisp. That's going to be top 8 allergy free. And then what you're going to do is just put it into a bag, a Ziploc bag, and pound it into like a nice fine powder, and make it into a flour. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I put 2 cups of the cereal that's unpounded, and it's going to make about a scant cup of 3/4 of a cup of the fine powder. So I'm going to do that. This one, get all of the big pieces so it's nice and fine, just like a flour would be. And I'm going to pour that in. And you guys, it's amazing. I made this the other day. The kids loved it. My husband loved it. It went so fast. Like, I had to take pictures for the blog, and I was kind of fighting them off to get it, to keep some over. Actually, there was a little bit over for the next day breakfast, but there was none for me. And I only got like a little amount. So anyways, it's very good, you guys. I think your kids are going to love it. And we're gonna put in half a teaspoon of cinnamon. You can't have peaches and blueberries without cinnamon. So I'm gonna just take about half a teaspoon. And you know, usually baking is very, like, you have to be precise. But with this recipe, it's so very forgiving that you don't have to worry too much. So I'm putting in that cinnamon, and I want to do 2 pinches of salt. 1, 2, and I got the brown sugar, I've got the flour or the cereal. Okay, and you guys, now we're getting to the secret ingredient. This is so fun. You guys, I know that some people are gonna wonder about this, but my family didn't even know the difference when I put this in. And this is how I make it whenever I make it now, even though we don't have a dairy allergy. This is how I do it, because it adds a little bit, if I have them on hand, then I do that, because it just adds a little bit of nutrition. But I use an avocado. And you guys, avocados can actually be a great replacer in baking for dairy, for butter. So I was hoping that this would be a nice green one, and it is. So I'm just gonna scoop it in. So if you don't have a dairy allergy, you can use a half a cup of butter. But as I say, I use this instead because it's just a little more healthy. Take that, get this avocado out. And you guys, this is a really little one. I think I'm gonna add, because it needs to be about half a cup, I'm gonna add a little bit more of one here. Get that out of the way. These are really little avocados, but they're little, but they're nice and green, which I love, because sometimes you can cut into an avocado and it's super brown and gross, even if it looks great on the outside. Okay, so I think I'll just put that one. Okay, little tip. Never ever try to get your seed out by hitting your knife. I had a neighbor who did that, and she had to get stitches, and horrible. It was a really bad scene. And I know I've heard lots of people like that before, so just cut around it and scoop it out. It's much better. Let me know where you're from, where you're watching from. I'd love to know if you're just joining. There's a few people just joining now. We're making we're making peach blueberry crumble. Get the fruits right. It can be any fruit, which is nice. Okay, so now that I have the avocados in there, I'm going to need to work it in. So I'm just going to use my hand, and I'm just going to squish all the avocado in just like you would as if it was butter. Oh, don't want that. I got a little bit of the avocado skin in there. Okay, so I'm going to squish it in. The cool thing is, as you squish it in, you'll see that the green will kind of disappear into the crumble topping, because the crumble topping is nice and brown. And you just want to work it in so that it's kind of coming together, but not like too much. Now let me just, it kind of sticks to your hands just like when you do butter. And I'll just show you in a minute. It's getting all worked in. This is going to turn nice and brown. And the last time when I did it, I said I forgot to defrost the peaches, so I had to put it in a little bit longer. It did get a little bit browner than I wanted it to, but it was still totally fine. So I had to have it in for at least an hour. Okay, so here's how it looks. It kind of is, see if you can see that. So it kind of holds together. And I feel like I added maybe a little bit too much avocado, like just because it's not quite as dry as I wanted it to be, because I like it when you squeeze it together and it holds together, but then it easily breaks apart. This still does that. And it just, you kind of have to play with it to see what you like as a texture, because different, it's gonna give you like a different texture. But I'm gonna put this over top. And like I said, I like to have lots of crumble. So I'm just spreading it over. And you know, maybe this is actually gonna be better, because I do like to have kind of chunks of crumble when I make mine, like just the mouthfeel of it. It's kind of nice. So I'm almost got it here. Get it all on. Scrape it off. I don't want to waste any of that good stuff, right? Oh, you guys can't even see me over there. I had to put it so far away that it's really hard to actually even see. So I'm just washing my hands. And then I'll show you what it looks like. All right, here we go. This is our blueberry peach crumble. Delicious. Allergy friendly, top 8 allergen free. So if you want, once you've baked this all up, you bake it at, what do I have, 350 for 45 to 50 minutes. Once you've baked it all up, you can choose whatever you want to put on top. You can do it alone, it doesn't need anything. Or if you like, now I'll show you, we really like Cocoa Whip, this stuff. You can see that. That stuff is really good. It's dairy free. Or you can do whipped cream if you can, if that's safe for you. Or you can, what was the other option? Yeah, that's it. Those are the other options. And then there's this sauce. So if you need totally top allergen free, you want to grab vanilla jello cook and serve pudding. This is what I made up the other day, and I made it just a little bit runnier than usual. I didn't let it boil it as long, and I just kept it. I made that with rice milk, and you want it to be a little bit thinner to put on top, because then it just kind of like if you look on my Instagram, you'll see like how it's nice and like just kind of oozy and delicious. That's what it will do when it's just a little bit thinner. So that's what you can top it with. So I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know if that's helpful. What kind of oats? Okay, sorry, this is so far away that it's really hard to see. So the oats that I'm using are Quaker gluten-free oats. I'm in Canada, so I don't know if you can get those, but I know there's a lot of gluten-free ones or wheat-free ones. Afraid of CC. Yeah, so definitely call the company. If they say gluten-free, usually there is an amount that they're allowed to have in there based on regulations. So definitely call the company and ask about CC before you try, because you want to make sure if you've got a wheat allergy, you want to make sure there's no cross-contamination. So don't be afraid, but what I would do is just start trying to call those companies, asking them exactly how they manage wheat and how they keep their oats from being cross-contaminated. So yeah, that is it. Is there any other questions? I don't think so. Let me know if you have any. You can always comment. Let me know if this is helpful. I hope that it gives you, my everyday recipe again is in my free meal plan, which is friendlypantry.com/meal plan. And this special like dressed up version for like a dessert or a brunch is on my website, on my blog. So friendlypantry.com/blog. Thank you for joining, and we will see you next week. And I think next week I'm going to be making something from my weeknight allergy buster recipe book, and we will see that then. Okay, so thanks very much. Talk to you soon.